Hey everyone, this is Jacqueline Cromwell. I am here hosting the Homeschool Hangout. Sugar Jones is having internet issues, which she's in Southern California, so that may have something to do with it. Today we are talking about organizing all the crazy crud that has to do with homeschooling. And it isn't just me. I'm hoping that I just seem to have more and more and more stuff multiplying like rabbits all over my house. And so today we are just going to talk about some possible solutions, and we're going to talk about some specific issues that have been brought up either on some various Facebook pages that I interact on, or even our Google Plus page. So let's just jump right in. It was funny, I posted in the Homeschool Life, what is your biggest organizing challenge in homeschooling stuff? Specifically, because if you say, what is your biggest challenge in homeschooling, people are like, well, how to do my day and how to do all my stuff. And while that has its own challenges, that is a subject for another day. This is an elephant. We can only handle one piece of organizing at a time. So it was funny. The first thing that I got a response to is people were wondering about keeping their grades recorded and filed and how many papers they need to keep and all of that stuff. They're saying, we assign the homework, we grade the homework, how much of the homework do we keep, what do we do with it when we keep it, all that interesting stuff. Now, I'm a California homeschooler, which means things are pretty loosey-goosey here. So the first thing I have to tell you is check into your specific homeschool state requirements if you're an independent homeschooler, or if you are a charter schooler like Sugar is, what the requirements are for that charter school. I know most charter schools ask for a sampling of homework, you give it to them and it's gone. In California, I don't exactly have to keep grades. As my kids get older, I will be keeping grades, but right now, not so much. You're not done until it's right, so I'm kind of a hard case like that. And so for me, we don't have a minimum, but I choose to keep a portfolio, meaning, a little history, a little math, things like that. I tend to inherently keep math anyways, but as far as what you have to keep, in California for elementary school and junior high, you don't really have to keep anything. So, there's Sugar. Hey, Sugar.
Hey, can you see me okay?
I can. We're talking about right now what you have to keep and how you should keep your records for homeschooling.
This is where you and I are probably, again, different. So, like, right now I'm in a car. This is why I'm late, because I wasn't able to connect I'm using my phone as my hotspot. My students are in the back here. One of them's hiding. We actually have a box of books. We have this box of books that whenever we run out the door and leave on a road trip, which is all the time, as you know, we just grab that box of books. So as long as we have like our very important, most important stuff in there, we're always really happy.
Well, when we were talking about specifically, a common question I got in a few Facebook groups is talking about what homework and grades they need to keep for a prosperity. And I was saying that as a charter schooler, you are told by your school what you have to turn in, right?
Well, what we end up doing, we log everything in every day. We have to do our tests online, so there's records of the test being passed online. And then we have to turn in a work sample every quarter. And so we just did our work sample turn-ins. And what I finally, after all these years, figured out that one day a quarter is work sample day. And on that day, we do something very, very nice from every subject. We turn in one piece of work from every core subject, and we try and make sure that piece of work represents what they do. So we don't do just like a true and false or multiple choice or anything like that. Try and do an essay or something that gives, or maybe like a semester unit test, something like that gives a bigger, deeper, understanding that this child actually knows what that they've actually grasped the information of that subject. So that's what we do.
Yeah, and I was saying that here in California, for private homeschoolers, we don't exactly have any requirements. As the kids get older, you do need to start keeping records for high school and for transcripts and things like that for your high school diploma and also for your college. But up until that point, we keep a sampling also. And something I've decided this year to do, because paperwork is like rabbits. They just procreate everywhere. I'm actually going to just scan them and put them on a disk and put them on a hard drive. Because if not, what are we going to do with it?
That's a super great idea. I hate to tell you this, my battery on this computer is now dying. So one of the things I just want to mention, a lot of online schools, what they do is you can actually purchase, curriculum that allows you to be online, do things online, not just with K-12, which is what we use, but they also record-keeping service. So there are some, like we do it through the state, so not a big deal. But if I wanted to privatize ourselves, then I'd actually have to pay for that service. But, it depends on, how much you trust yourself on the record keeping. I would trust you all day to keep our records. Me? Not so much. So I always like to outsource that sort of thing.
Well, and that's the thing, though, is we were discussing the fact in California for elementary and junior high students, you do not need to issue grades. And so that's part of it is I don't issue grades. You keep doing it until it's right. I also don't test for that matter. So, but there is other software you can use like Homeschool Tracker and things like that where you don't actually have to keep paperwork. So, yeah. Okay, so...
Paperwork sucks. We hate paperwork.
Yes, we do.
It's like mommy home.
And Sugar has just locked up. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next question. Organizing books. Organizing books is a huge one that people have. And I was discussing this with a girlfriend of our private homeschool support group that I'm in at my church. And I was like, reading or school books, what is your issue? And she's like, both. We have this inherent need to feel like our books are organized. So do you organize them by alphabet or by size or by subject? And then when the kids, especially her kids who are 6 and under, take the books off the shelf, which we want them to do, how do we find them later or worry about organizing them back? Myself, what we have done here in our family is we have one shelf, and it's actually on top of some cubbies, that is for all the books you need to do your homework. So like we are doing a geography book this year, and I have a few geography encyclopedias specifically, and our history encyclopedia that we use, things along those lines. All that stuff comes from and goes back to that shelf. That way when you're ready to do your homework, you don't have to wonder who took it, what happened. And of course, every once in a while there's a little bit of, hey, where's that book? But everyone knows that that's where those books go. And then for the most part, we have kids' bookshelves. And when we find a book, it goes back to the bookshelves. We have some loose stories go on this shelf, and more fact-based books go on another shelf, but I'm pretty loosey-goosey with it. And then we also have a separate bookshelf with bins just for library books. I do recommend storing your library books separate from all your books, and then about once a week we go through and kind of take inventory based on what's due, and we actually go through them all and then sort them into kids' piles, because all of our kids read most of the same books. And so it's like, oh, so-and-so hasn't read any of these books yet, but so-and-so's read all of these books. So that's what we do. We also have a big bin for returns when everyone reads them, and then we take it in, we dump it in the bin, we check out everything we have on hold, and we come home with a big bin of books. So that's what we do here. I don't know that that's the best way. And I'm kind of going through some questions that we've gotten here. Somebody else says lack of room. Lack of room is a huge issue, and I saw this in 2 different forms. I saw somebody who just merely says, I have a lack of room, what to do? And somebody else on a Google Plus group said that their problem is storing crafts. They have a craft closet because they don't have a lot of room to have all their crafts accessible at the same time. And she tries to keep some supplies out for use anytime. And what ends up happening, and I think all of us can see it because we've all done it, is that craft closet starts to become a mess, and you can't find anything, and you end up repurchasing things. One of the things I have done, actually a couple of the things I've done, is I invested in some plastic drawers. And I pulled up the description of them over on Amazon. I may or may not be able to link it into this, whether or not YouTube views it as a real website. We had this problem last week. But Iris specifically makes like 6-drawer organizers, and they make them either where they're all the same size or they're all varying sizes. And I have one that is a varying size. I actually have 2. And the nice thing about them is you can pop off the top and add in more drawers to one set. So if you have a craft closet, what I'd recommend you do is get a couple sets of drawers, make a nice huge tower, put all your essentials in there, and put it in a spot where you can wheel it in and wheel it out. And that way your stuff's still in the closet when you don't need it, but you can pull it out and find everything when you're ready to craft and not have separate sets. I also have all my crafting stuff in cabinets in my island in my kitchen, but not, I understand, I'm spoiled. I like it that way. Not everyone has it. But the keys for my organizing is, frankly, plasticware. Plasticware, plasticware, plasticware. I have plastic shoe boxes that hold some of my craft stuff. I also, for the paperwork, have some drawers, and they're about this tall. I figured that this is a very small area, so I shouldn't bring too much over here to show you. And each kid has a drawer, and then scrap paper has a drawer. And so when they do write me a paragraph on a piece of paper or something, rather than me have to go through their binders, they take it out and they put it in the drawer to be graded. My kids do have binders, and when I want to give them a week's worth of assignments, I put all that straight into their binder for them, so they don't have to go digging through everything. And I make them an assignment list that I print off the computer. Another big hit for me in organizing are these super cheap composition books. I got these at Office Max, and just so you know, we all qualify for the teacher discount. And this is just, you can see my children's lovely handwriting. I use this for math. All their math work goes in here. No, it's not all beautiful, but neither would a collection of binder paper. And I picked these up for, I believe, 5 or 10 cents a piece. So if they go through and mess up a bunch of pages and you rip them out, who cares? Who really cares? But we know all of their math work is in there, because how many times when you were a student did your teacher say, I want to see the paper you did all the work on. I don't just want the answers. Where is that? And you have to go chase it down or find it or pull it out of the garbage or whatever. This way, all of the math is in one notebook. And then at one point we were going through and doing like book report things, and they would just put it straight into the notebook. Now we're at the point where they might start typing them in, but they can still keep all their work in that notebook. And then when these are full, you can choose to scan in pages, you can choose to throw out some and keep some, or you can just toss the whole notebook. But this is a good amount of sheets. I can't remember if this is 100 sheets of paper, and the magic of that is not, oh, they can do a page of math. No, they do what they do, but it's 100 pages that is all in this little notebook, so you don't have to chase it all over your living room. I mean, I'm sure that's a problem that just I have, but I've really found that using those composition books and not expecting perfection in them is key. I know for me, it held me back a long time because I have a notebook that's a gorgeous notebook. Let me pull it down. It's a awesome little notebook that I think I've made other people jealous with before, that I haven't used because I want to structure it just right. I got it from Microsoft, and it's got little tabs on it, and then it's got just, lined paper in them. And I thought, oh, I can use one section for these ideas and another section for this other paperwork, but because I haven't figured out just how I want it organized, I haven't used it. Don't let that hold you back with your kids, though. Even if you pay full price, I think the most you'll ever pay for these is $1. These notebooks, just let them go in them. Decide on what your rules are. So, like, as my kids get further in math, they have to start each problem on a new line. They have to start each assignment on a new page, and that really helps. And then I use my margins a lot for write the number and then the letter, because they have one of those where it looks like they're only doing 4 problems, but there's like 15 sub-problems in each one. So those are a godsend for me. And in September and August, you can start picking them up for 5, 10 cents a piece. And just buy a case. For all the back to school sales that go on at Office Max, not only do you qualify for the teacher's perks, as a teacher, you can buy double the limit, and you can take your kids and hand them money, and then they can also purchase the limit. So that's how we do that with all the binder paper, all of that stuff to begin with, but especially with those notebooks. I'm just looking to see if I have any other questions out there. There is no magic, and I think that's the big key for homeschooling organization is there is no magic. Don't feel uptight about the fact that you see some fabulous homeschool rooms on Pinterest and yours don't look like that. Don't worry about the fact that you do homeschool at your kitchen table. Frankly, almost everybody I know who sets up a big homeschool room half the time still does it at their kitchen table. And if that's what you're going to do, make your system work for that. My kids, will bring in all their books and throw them on the kitchen table, and they'll all share the textbooks or their encyclopedias. Do that if that's what works for you. A big part is, remember, homeschooling is the best method to adapt to you, your lifestyle, your structure, and your level of organization. If you are not a super organized person, do not try to all of a sudden have this extremely organized binder system where everything is indexed and re-indexed. You're going to become a slave to it. Your kids are going to become a slave to it, and then you will all resent it. That is the key. Whatever makes you guys comfortable, happy, and productive is the method you should use. It breaks my heart that I saw more than one person say, I'm just not an organized person. I just don't know if I can ever really feel like I'm doing it right. There is no right. The goal of homeschooling is to create productive adults who love to learn and who have learned some things in the meantime. That is it. It is not to create people with OCD. And frankly, I think we don't want to create people with OCD. It is not to create an encyclopedia. It is to create a loving, wonderful learning experience to create children who grow into wonderful adults. Don't stress yourself out about the details. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with trying something new, but don't stress about it. Frankly, organizing should be a little fun, even if you don't stick to the system very long. Thank you so much for tuning in. We don't have any other questions. So one last thing. Oh, I forgot. Today is National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. Who doesn't love that? Over at nerdfamily.com, I've posted a great learning activity to teach about mining, dealing with chocolate chip cookies. What can be better than playing with your food? And go out and make some cookies with your kids. Create some memories. That's really a big part of what this is all about. Remember, you love your children more than anyone else does. You are more invested in their future than anyone else is. So take a little comfort knowing that you are probably doing a better job with your children than anyone ever could. And have a great week. Bye.